Hey, how's it going? I'm Nick Gaska and welcome back to I Can Do That DIY for another doll repaint video. Today's custom doll is very special and it's my first ever ball jointed doll by none other than the Dolly Geek. Alright, let's get into it. Hugo from the Dolly Geek created this amazing doll, Koki. This doll is available to download on Thingiverse. I'll make sure to put a link in the description below. Hugo also customized his own version of Koki. I'll also put a link to that video as well. As you can see, I started by printing out the doll with my 3D printer. I'm using a beige resin. Printing is going to take a while, so let's check back later. So here it is after I printed it. I'm just going to take it off the print bed. I'm going to wash it with alcohol in my rinse and cure machine, and then put it back in the machine and cure it with UV light. So here are all the body parts to the doll. Here is the head, the torso, the 2 leg pieces, and the arms. Here's a better look at the faceplate. This goes on top of that. Cool. Looks really cool. This is a chibi style doll. Here are the 2 eye options that Hugo provided. There is a large one and a small one. Here's the doll stand that I also printed in white. It has his logo in the front, which is really awesome. Alright, cool. Next, I'm going to add some magnets to the faceplate and to the scalp. I'm using some super glue and gluing them in, making sure to check the polarity as I go so that the scalp sticks to the faceplate. I filled in the gaps with some epoxy sculpt to reinforce the magnets. Alright, cool, here they are. Now let's move on to making the S-hooks for the body. I'm going to use some wire and this little jewelry plier thingy I picked up at Michael's. I'm going to cut off a piece of wire with my wire cutters, and then wrap it around my other pliers and make a little S shape. After that, I'll pull it off and cut off the excess. It should look something like this. Now let's move on to putting them onto the body. I'm just going to put on the peg provided and squeeze it shut. Cool. I'm going to do the other body parts off screen, and then we can string up the body with some elastic cord. Since there isn't a separated chest and torso piece, I'm going to do this with 1 cord of elastic. I'll start by going in through the neck hole, string up the arm, and then go back in. I'll just continue on and do the rest of the body parts, and then finish by going out through the neck. Alright, awesome, this looks great. She has such a cute little chubby body. Now let's move on to painting the eyes. I'm going to start by painting the eye bases white with acrylic paint. I'm painting the bases white because white resin never really turns out white and it's more of a milk color. For the iris, we're going to be using these 3 colors. We'll use the Naples yellow at the bottom, blend to the honeycomb, which will blend into the dark umber. After that's all dry, I'm going to do some more details with the dark umber off screen. They're looking pretty good so far, but now let's add even more detail with my gold acrylic paint. Of course there's never enough sparkle, so let's add some gold glitter glue. And I'm going to follow that up with some chunky glitter. Ooh, so sparkly. I love it. Now I'm going to ombre out the pupil with some black pastel. Then we're going to make the pupil with a black sequin. I'm going to use a tweezer to place my pupil, and then cover the recessed area with some UV resin. I'm going to put enough in to cover up the bottom, And then I'm just going to move it around a little bit, and then pop any air bubbles. I'm going to use a wire and a lighter to do this. Then I'm just going to cure it with a UV light. Once I paint both sides and the resin is fully cured, I'm going to paint additional detail with my gold and white acrylic paint. Alright, awesome, these look great. Now let's dome the top with some more UV resin. Alright, cool, I'm really happy with how these turned out. I'm going to gloss the white area with some UV top coat off screen. Now let's move on to repainting the face. As you can see, there's some discoloration in the faceplate. I think this is because I actually rinsed it with water before I rinsed it with alcohol when I first printed it. I'm going to fix the color with some skin tone pastels. The first pastel color made her very yellow, so I decided to blend it with this other one. Next, I'm going to sketch out the eye shape with my light brown watercolor pencil. I'm also going to sketch out the upper eyelid and lower lash as well. And while I do that, I just say thank you so much for watching, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Also make sure to hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest projects. Next, I'll sketch out the mouth. Since this faceplate doesn't really have a mouth, you can really do anything. I'm thinking a frown would be super cute. Now let's add some blush to the face with my light pink pastel. I'm going to be adding it on the cheeks, the nose bridge, the lips, and the eyes. I'm also highlighting the bottom lip with my white watercolor pencil. Then I'm going to highlight the eyelid with my white pastel. On the next layer, I'm going to use my black Inktense watercolor pencil. I'm going to be filling in the upper eyeliner shape and refining the edges. After that, I'm going to grab my chocolate watercolor pencil and darken the inner and outer corners of the eyelid, as well as the center and corners of the mouth. Then I'm going to go back to the black Inktense watercolor pencil and do the lower eyelashes. Using my white watercolor pencil, I'm going to color in the waterline. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side off screen. After that, I'm going to use some watered down black acrylic paint to color in the eyeliner. Now I'm going to add some dark brown pastel to the eyelid and to the eyelashes. Alright, now I'm going to move on to the brows. I'm going to use my black pastel and brush on a general shape. Then I'll refine that shape with my eraser. On the next layer, I'll add individual hairs to the brow using a watered down dark umber acrylic paint. Next, I'll use some black pastel to darken up the outer edges. After that, I'm going to use my white acrylic paint to highlight my waterline. Alright, now I'm adding some pearlized mica powder to my highlighted areas. Using my white acrylic paint again, I'll add some little catchlight thingies to the cheeks. You often see these in chibi face-ups, they're kind of like little cute glare things. After that, using some watered down dark umber acrylic paint, I'm going to give her some freckles. We're going to add them to the bridge of the nose and to the cheeks. And to finish the face up, I'm going to gloss the waterline. Now that the face up is complete, let's add some fake lashes. Today I'm going to use some Kiss Flirty eyelashes. I'm going to measure them and cut them to length. Then I'm going to add some Elmer's glue all to the inner eye, and then place my eyelash. I'm going to make sure I'm happy with the placement and then do the same thing on the other side. Alright, awesome, those look great. Now let's give her some eyes. I had so much fun making eyes, and in the end I made a bunch. Here are the brown I made on camera. A pink and red pair with some heart catchlights. A blue pair. A green pair. A small blue pair. And a small green pair. Now I'm just going to take some poster putty and stick the eyes into the head. I decided to go with the brown pair because I think it goes best with the face and goes with the overall aesthetic that I'm going for. I'm really happy with how these ones turned out. I think they look really great. Alright, now let's work on the outfit. I draped its pattern off screen with the front and back bodice. I combined them into one pattern, and then cut it out in fabric. Here's the bodice and the skirt. It's going to be a multi-tiered gathered skirt. I'm going to do a very Lolita dress today. It's going to be super cute. I'm going to start by sewing the center front seam on the bodice. Next, I'm going to sew some lace to the bottom skirt tier. Iron it and then do a top stitch at the edge. Then I'll do 2 basting stitches at the top edge of the ruffle. Then I'll gather up the bottom ruffle and sew it to the other part of the skirt. After that, I'll do a top stitch along this edge. Off screen, I did 2 basting stitches attaching a piece of lace to the top of that skirt. I'll gather it up and attach it to the bodice later. For the bodice, I'm going to hem the sleeve and neckline openings with a piece of lace. I also finished the cut edges with some fray check. Alright, cool, that looks pretty good so far. Alright, cool, now let's close up the side seams. Off screen, I added a faux lace placket down center front. I sewed it right here down the middle. Alright, now let's sew the bodice to the skirt. Off screen, I added a velcro closure to the dress and sewed up the rest of center back. Now let's add some details to the dress, starting with this bow. I also made this off screen with a piece of ribbon. I'm just going to sew it right here to the neck. Alright, cool. Now let's add some pearl cabochons down center front to act as some faux buttons. I made another even smaller bow off screen, and I'm going to apply that to the waist. There will be some additional bows that I'll put on the bottom tier. In total, there will be 7 little bows and 1 big bow. Alright, cool, that looks really cute. I made all of these bows off screen. I decided just to glue these ones on. After I glued all 6 bows to the bottom tier, I decided to sew in more lace underneath the skirt. I just did a whip stitch and attached it to the seam allowance. This will act as my petticoat and give the skirt a little bit more volume. Cool, now that the dress is done, let's work on some accessories. I'm going to make some little lace bracelets that will act as gloves later on. I'm just going to cut a little strip and glue them together. I ended up making them the wrong size the first time, so I'm going to use the other 2 as socks later. But now I'm going to paint some gloves on the hands with some white acrylic paint. After a few coats of watered down white acrylic paint, I'm going to finish it off with some matte varnish. And while that dries, I'm just going to move on to the shoes. I made little patterns out of Worbla and cut them out. This piece will act as the top of the shoe and the other ones are the sole. I'm just going to heat up the toe piece and wrap it around. I'll do the same thing for the heel on screen, and then connect it to the sole. It'll look something like this. Super cute, right? But I think these socks need a little bow at center front, so I'll make those off screen later. I think these shoes would look really cute shiny, so I'm just going to give them a gloss with some UV top coat. I'm going to do the heel and the toe at separate times so I have something to hold on to. Now I'm going to add those bows to the sock that I mentioned earlier. Moving on to the next accessory, let's make a hair bow. I'm going to make this bow with various sizes of ribbon and lace. I'm going to start by making a bow out of the biggest piece of ribbon. I'm going to add some glue to the back of the bow so I can place the tails of the bow a little bit better. Then I'm going to cut it and burn the ends off screen. Next is the lace bow. I also made that one off screen, and I'm just going to connect them at the center with a piece of ribbon. And because this bow isn't quite big enough for me, I'm going to add another bow to the center of that. I'm just going to glue it on and wrap another even smaller piece of ribbon around that. Alright, cool, I think that's good for the bow. For the wig today, I actually ordered one on Amazon because I didn't feel like making a wig. It's a cute little bang style with some curls. The bow will be a perfect addition to it. I'm just going to glue it to the top. I'll put a link in the description below for the wig. For the final accessory, I'm going to give her a teddy bear. I picked this one up at Michael's a really long time ago. I'm going to make a handle on the back by drilling a hole and adding a piece of elastic. After I drill the hole, I'm just going to stick in the elastic and add some super glue. And of course, the bear needs a bow. I'm going to glue that to him as well. And now the final thing for the doll is to assemble the stand. I cut a piece of brass tube to length off screen, and now I'm just going to stick the pieces together. And with that, everything's complete. So here she is, here's the finished result. Oh my god, I'm so happy with her, she looks adorable. There are a few details I did not film, which you can see on screen. I glued some flatback pearl cabochons to the ears as well as to the cuffs. Besides for that, I pretty much showed everything else. Thank you so much Hugo from the Dolly Geek for creating this doll. It's a really fun experience and I made so many great eyes I might just have to make another one in the future. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Also, if you have any ideas for projects in the future. Thank you so much for watching and make sure to like the video if you liked it and subscribe to my channel. There'll definitely be more doll repaints in the future as well as other custom dolls just like this. This was actually my first ever ball jointed doll and I had a really fun time, so I'll definitely be doing more of them in the future. But for the rest of the video, just enjoy these awesome photos. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!